let's kind of back up to where we learned of Hayfield and what's been going on there. It was on Wednesday, not this Wednesday, but the Wednesday before, in the evening, I started getting text messages from many of you letting me know of an NBC news story that came out in video form. Some of you might have seen it, some of you might have watched it when I sent it out later, but it was kind of reporting that there was some significant mold on property, and you never know how true it is. Is this real? And so I started reaching out to some people I knew who are teachers at the school, and it come to find out it was very serious. Teachers are have been voicing for most of the week. Some of them feeling like they're getting sick in their classrooms, and have classrooms that have visible mold and feeling like they got to clean it up, and knowing also that they hadn't seen any remediation on property yet. So they were also voicing their concern. On Thursday, we sent an email to Community Use, which is who we work with. That's our contract. We sent an email asking about it, saying, hey, we didn't know anything about it ahead of time. There was one Sunday where they moved us to other classrooms on Sunday morning, and they mentioned, I think in passing to one of our volunteers, that it was due to mold. But besides that, they never, they didn't inform us of anything related to it. So I'm asking questions, and in it, we wanted to make sure that we didn't put too much pressure on them to give us things that they couldn't give, right? That they wouldn't be able to, maybe legally or whatever. But also, we didn't ask for specific kind of documentation, but we just asked for verification of, like, hey, if air quality tests are done, if remediation companies on property, could you just connect us with somebody who can give us an update on it? And so we know that going into that weekend, Liv's last weekend, there was some work happening on property, and one of the pieces of that work happening on property at Hayfield, which it was good that we weren't there, was that a lot of people from Fairfax County were coming to view the space and see what the condition was as well, because it was new information to a lot of people across Fairfax County Public Schools too. So they sent emails out to, I think, students and parents, and then also teachers on Saturday night, saying, hey, we had like 60 people on property this weekend taking a look from Fairfax County at what's going on here, and to us, we heard that as good news, right? Like, really good news, great. There are people on property, they're taking care of it, they're looking at it, and school started on Monday, of course, and in every other circumstance, I mean, like, we've never had a reason to not start church if the school's in session, but we noticed a few things it caused us to look back at our contract. It caused us to look at some of the, I guess, expectations based on Fairfax County standards of what remediation would normally be done in the case of water damage and things like that, which led us to start to be a little worried about our liability. So our contract, which we had never noticed before, it's just the normal generic contract with facility use or community use from Fairfax County, places all liability on us. So there's no liability accepted. There's no provisions in the contract related to, like, the condition of the building and what they can guarantee in that and all of that. We made another request on Monday we heard that you were on property. That's so great. We're so glad you were there. Could you send us some more information about what was done? If there was air quality tests taken, and they got back to us with a kind of a statement that was about what they gave anybody else who asked. So their response to us, from what I can tell, from what I've heard, is not much different than what students and parents received. So it's not like they weren't giving us. They were giving us less than everybody else. I think it was a blanket response from Fairfax County, or how to respond in this circumstance, and it was something like we have. The exact wording was, I want to get it right. It was, we have assessed the situation and and we can move forward, right? It was more like we have looked at it, we have assessed it, and we believe school can move forward, or we believe that it's remedied. But it didn't share anything of what they did or any tests that they had taken, and we received word from Fairfax County that they would not be able to provide us with any of that documentation. I also asked then, I sent a message asking if they could revise a contract. And I gave kind of and I knew that was a big ask, right? Because this is the legal department of a huge, huge school system. But to say, hey, we realize we are holding a liability. If we could just have in the contract like this statement that just says, like in a normal rental agreement, that we will make facility management can assure that all electrical and water and the basic things, plumbing, are up to code, but that was that's something they have to run up the chain, and who am I, right? So that wasn't anything they could deal with right away. It was early that week that I received a call this week that I received a call from community use, not letting us know of the progress at Hayfield, but letting us know of a firm advisement that we move to a new school. It seemed to be related to a few factors. That obviously this showed there's a burden on the system. There's a burden on, there's a staffing. So the words that were given to us was due to a staffing, or staff structure, a weakness in staff structure currently. And so basically they're trying to say to us that we cannot assure you, we can't answer the questions that you have, which we have serious questions. And we have some concerns specific. I know that, high schoolers are back in school, right? Like these are high schoolers, but the exact hallway where the mold was and was moved, and the 2 classrooms they said still are not ready to open at Hayfield, are the classrooms we've used or the ones directly around it for children. So that means that we would have to figure out, I guess if we stayed, we'd have to move our children to a whole different hallway, which would be way far away from our space, or we'd have to wait for that to be figured out. But we're talking little babies, we're talking nursery, we're talking little babies back there. It is a different situation. Also, we have a duty that goes a little bit beyond that in creating an inclusive space where we believe I know people in our church who have significant allergies, right? And they don't know yet, or we know kids in our church who have significant allergies and don't know how mold affects that, but hey, we don't want to be another part of their inability to, God forbid, we prevent a family from being able to come to church because they are leery of that. So all of those factors go together, and being significantly advised by the Office of Community Use. It felt less of advisement, more of we are moving you. The other factor that came into play too is that overlapping with this was the end of our previous contract. So our year-long contract with FCPS ended actually at the end of July, and they had emailed us saying that we're a little delay on contract, we'll get them out at the beginning of August. Then we emailed the 15th, and it was days before they were going to send us a contract. And so a new contract needed to be written, and I think in that they felt very confident that a new school should be the option because we don't know exactly what's ahead. So our leadership team met, and I don't know if Ryan, if you want to talk about kind of some of the things we talked about now that I've gotten into the point of how we've made our decisions.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, thank you.
So we had lots of things to weigh out, and there were some options put forward by community use. There's the Island Creek Elementary School was the first thing they suggested to us as being proximate to Hayfield and having the facilities they thought we needed. That's something that some of you may have been part of with this church years ago. And then there was also some potential opportunities at other elementary schools nearby. But, you know, things like not having chairs for us were a problem. So anyway, we had to, as a group, we needed to think through the logistics here and think about all the different, I mean, everything that it takes to produce and to make the worship service happen, but also really thinking about the growing family and children's ministries within this church and how important that is. I mean, if you've seen just over the last few years, all of your kids have grown up, more kids are coming in, this queue's come on board, and it's really flourishing. And we were quite concerned about doing something in this temporary move for roughly 10 months while Virginia Hills is being built, that we do something to put a brake pedal on that. And that really important part of our church. So in looking at all the different options, we made a pretty funny checklist of all these things. It really did emerge that Island Creek was going to be one of the best options for us, especially when you look at this growing children's ministry. The fact that the worship space is very close to the rooms we could use. Those rooms are bigger. They are geared towards elementary age kids. They have bathrooms within the room. None of this like wagon train going down the hall to go to the bathroom. And it's quite close. And then there were a few concerns about the technology and whether or not literally the internet technology within the building could support what we need. Brett and Michelle went and visited on Friday morning, and they've upgraded their digital technology since we were last there, and it can actually support what we need. So some of the good check boxes were really getting checked more and more when you went to visit, and then some of the potential negatives were getting crossed off the list. The other thing, from what I understand, is one of the reasons why coming out of COVID it was so great to move to Hayfield was the relationship with the administration at Island Creek had not been great in the end there. And Hayfield was the promise of a new relationship with the school. And we did flourish there. We had a great relationship with the school and Anita, and those folks have moved on to other jobs. And we just don't have the connectivity and the partnership with Hayfield we used to. And you did meet with the administration at Island Creek, and they are really happy to have us there. So anyway, it's a sort of a long process that only happened in a short amount of time. But you talk about, is there a plan? Well, what seems like a real curveball that could have gotten in the way may actually be a really strong step for one of the biggest parts of our church as it grows, and maybe even be a momentum builder as we go into the new building in roughly 10 months. So, there's, if you have questions about little details along the way, we're happy to answer. But it pretty quickly came that this was the best option of probably 5 or 6. And then when the negatives got crossed off the list, it really seemed like a smart move.
Yeah, that's good. We have not drafted the contract yet. We just toured on Friday. We told them, hey, this feels good. I mean, it checks all of our boxes. We will draft it this week. And one of the things that we hope to add to that conversation is, hey, because we've been displaced from Hayfield due to circumstances that are not in our control, right? It may be about much more than just mold now, but it started with mold, right? That's how it started. Could we keep never wanting to end fully any relationship, right? Like, could we keep the door open as we move here? In case there's anything about Island Creek we can't think about right now, we don't know of, or in case something unforeseen happens there, and if there's administration change, a staffing structure is enhanced at Hayfield, if mold is remediated, or we're talking about if there is more of a response to it that requires a little bit more public response, since the news story was so public, right? If any of that happens, hey, could you reach out to us and see if we want to move back before offering it to another church when they feel it's open in a good place? Because right now they're not going to be offering it to other people. They don't think it's a healthy enough system to be like sharing space with the community. But when it gets to that space, will you come and contact us? We may love Island Creek and want to stay. We also know that we had some visitors coming up to Hayfield in that time period. I don't know how to get a hold of those people. I didn't catch them out the door. They came from neighboring neighborhoods and stuff. We had them in the weeks prior. They're not on our email list. There's nothing. those are the unfortunate things. There's not a whole lot of those people, but keeping the door open gives us an option in case that needs to happen to move back. And then we feel confident that this will serve our needs right now, right? With also, we couldn't go through this without keeping in mind the fact that we have another building up ahead, right? That is well underway. If you have not driven down Telegraph now, there's work happening on property every day, holes in the ground now, all of that. So Virginia Hills is actively being built, is on schedule currently based on the time it started. and so, yeah, there was a lot of, it gave an ease to the decision making, I think, that it didn't give before. What we want to know though is, like, we want to make sure that we have, before we sign a contract or anything, we have the congregation's kind of blessing on this. Or also, if you have any questions about it, we would officially move there September 7th. That would be our first Sunday. And somebody asked, "Hey, are we gonna have like a dry run or something?" That's gonna happen live. So it's gonna be a little messy. It's okay. But the thing that a lot of you who have come into our church since maybe don't know is Island Creek is not fully new to us. It was our first place of worship before COVID. So our church started at Island Creek Elementary School. There is some level of like familiarity, but the whole school, the administration, the staff, the people that we talked to on Friday, we've never met them before. So there's whole new people there to make relationships with. But the space is the space, and I was pleasantly surprised going back and looking at it, the things I did not ever notice when we were there before. Yeah, there's something about like now having a 4-year-old. Now I know how valuable those bathrooms and those classrooms are. Never noticed them before. It never even dawned on me. So I think it's going to be a good space, and I'm just glad we have a way to move forward. Do you all have any questions?
We're not going back to Faith and Drake.
No, you're not the first person to ask that. They're asking this.
What was the question?
Oh gosh, this is y'all. You would like. I don't even feel like I should explain what it is because it would hurt people's heads so much.
We didn't hear the question.
So she said, "We're not going back to pipe and drape, are we?" When we started the church. So I'm just saying, don't blame me, y'all. There are a lot of volunteers who are very grateful that we moved on from that because it was a lot of work. And it was an age of the church.
Just trying to do a backdrop.
It was a backdrop. We put up pipe and drape every single Sunday with big pipe. Yeah. And there was a tent in the space for the hospitality and all that. I will say, when I went through all the stuff related to church planting, when I was going through the church planting boot camps, that kind of stuff was super important to everybody. It doesn't matter one bit now. Brett and I also talked in the parking lot afterwards. We were like, we moved to Hayfield because of the visibility on Telegraph. Not a single, we can't keep a sign up there anymore. They won't let us keep it up. And not a single one of the new people who come to our church are coming because they knew we were at Hayfield because they drove by it. They went, what way people find churches now is they look on Google. And we popped up on Google. That's how that happened. So it is a very different world now than before, and so a lot of the things we were really concerned about are not things now. Yeah.
And it actually seems like it can be, in many ways, a step forward, not some kind of step.
Yeah, exactly.
So, do you have any questions? Let us know. It'll feel like an away game for a little bit before it feels like a home game on Sunday.
Yeah.
But
it will.
I just, it's just a comment, but also a question. It would be great, like motivating to like see, if people can snapshot like the building of things. Like when I saw the mound of dirt at Virginia Hills, that's really exciting.
Yeah.
Just to like regularly
check
in with everybody and saying, this is temporary, but look at that.
There's a little bit of hype that we got to get into that we're not in yet. I totally agree with you. It's probably a little bit of like, self-protection.
We'll
that
believe it when we see it.
It's been like a long months of self-protection of like I can't get my hopes up, but I don't want to like talk about this thing and then I'm sorry. But now it's actually happening, and we should be every week. Like we should be showing people what's going on. Absolutely.
deal with this
So
now, though.
I agree with you. Brett and I talked the other day. We're lacking. We need more hype about this. Why aren't we hyped up? We are super hyped, but we just lost it over like waiting for it to happen. So yes, I think that's a great idea.